Here are valenki or felt boots. We can't do without them here. They were the most popular footwear. Here's a cleaning tool found in every Soviet house, Soviet apartment, and Soviet shed. Well, everywhere really. People always brought their own basins to Russian bathhouses and public bathhouses. Everyone had their own. But I'm still surprised that underwear is sold here. It's amazing. Today we're going to visit a market. I haven't been to this beloved place from Soviet times for ages. And I'm very curious to see what's happening there now. So let's go to the market together and see what it looks like today and see if it resembles the Soviet market, okay? Hello friends, my name is Julie and you're watching Soviet Born, where we tell the whole truth about the Soviet Union that no one else will tell you. So stay with us. It's going to be very interesting. The Soviet market wasn't just a marketplace, but a real open-air performance, where every seller was an artist, and every buyer was both a spectator and a participant.
It says here 8 horses. Yes, feel it and squeeze the heel. That's how they wrote that it's sturdy, it won't tear. 8 horses have stomped on it.
Nothing can damage them, right?
These aren't Chinese made, not Chinese.
Just like they're hand-knitted.
Yes, handmade.
Handmade? Oh, I haven't seen these in a long time. The sellers at Soviet markets were true masters of trade. They didn't just sell goods, they put on entire performances. Come here, dear. This linden honey is so sweet. Even the flies are standing in line. Cucumbers like cucumbers should be, and tomatoes like foreign stars, but they're our own, homegrown. Now winter has come, and as always, socks like these are for sale. Look at these cool valenki, right? We can't do without valenki here. They're the most popular footwear. I spent my entire childhood and youth in valenki. And then there are these, called burki. When I was a child, we always wore these, Soviet burki.
I have sizes available, miss. These cost 1,200. Take them.
Okay, that's cool.
1,200 rubles, good soles, non-slip. There are cheaper ones too. Take them.
Great, awesome. Made in Russia. Boots. And these boots were called farewell to youth. Why? Because they were usually worn by married men who had no choice. The wife would buy them, only she could buy something like this. No man would voluntarily wear such shoes. But the wife, saving money on her husband, would buy these felt boots. That's why they were called farewell to youth. It's funny how names like that stick. Of course, there were striped sailor shirts and military uniforms too. The market in the Soviet Union wasn't just a place to shop. It was a hub of public life. People discussed the latest news, made plans, and even arranged marriages. It was cheerful, noisy, warm-hearted, and full of that distinctive Soviet flavor. It's actually amazing, but not much has changed about the market since Soviet times, because basically, people who wanted to save money always shopped at markets. Prices were lower, you could haggle, and you could find almost anything cheaper. And even now, to this day, I haven't been to the market for a very long time. I'm surprised how much remains the same. Even now, many people still shop at markets, starting with essentials like underwear. Markets are still the one-stop shop where you can buy everything: clothes, shoes, bedding, food. Honestly, the market hasn't changed much at all. Over here, there are dishes and slippers. People are walking around, buying all sorts of things. Women's clothing, children's toys, you name it. Just like before, markets still have everything. Here's your little market door. And of course, how could we do without this? They sell all kinds of ropes and shovels, especially these snow shovels. Winter is coming, and these are essential. Better grab one. And please, write in the comments, do you have this cleaning tool called venik, a broom? It's a must-have, just as it was in Soviet times. Every Soviet home, apartment, or shed had one, and they're still around today. Another staple is the mop, which is still incredibly popular. Look at this, real galvanized basins and tubs. I haven't seen these in ages. I thought they weren't even made anymore. But here they are. For the bathhouse, both Russian and public, everyone would bring their own basin. These basins haven't changed a bit since Soviet times. The same shape, the same sturdy galvanized metal. It's amazing they still exist. We thought only modern plastic containers were around now. But look, there's even a galvanized baby bathtub. I thought these disappeared about 50 years ago, but they're still here. So here's a washing trough, a baby tub, and basins for the bathhouse. It's incredible that nothing has changed. You can still buy all of this at the market. And look, buckets too. Galvanized buckets are still here. It's really cool, especially the mop. It's such an amazing cleaning tool. There it is, by the way, along with the buckets. Now we're going to visit a place that's the last stronghold of what we call baracholka, the flea market. Right in this spot, people used to stand and sell their old things right on the ground. But time has passed, and there are fewer and fewer such people. A real entrance to the Soviet Union. Felt boots, shovels, saws. It's a real Klondike here. I had plates like these in my childhood. You have a real Soviet Union here.
Yes.
No, really, all these things, these plates, they're just like from childhood.
Yes, it's a little Soviet Union here.
Wonderful. China, the old one, already China. They made these in Soviet times, I think. But I definitely had plates like these in my childhood. Oh, Christmas tree ornaments. I had an ornament like this in my childhood. Yes, Soviet Christmas ornaments, exactly. Oh, I had a ball like this one, exactly the same ball. And like this one. I remember such a ball. Yes, I had the same ball in my childhood. Great. All sorts of knives, switches that don't fit modern equipment anymore. Salad bowls. Such a little pitcher. Oh, this little vase here. It's glass, not crystal. A fruit bowl. Very interesting fruit bowl. Look what little picture I found. This is from the 1980 Olympics that was held in Moscow. This was the only Olympics held in the Soviet Union. We all watched it. We were all proud of it. And here's the Olympic flame. Such a wonderful beer mug from that time. These pictures with little angels. They even sold such postcards on long-distance trains. See? Sleeping Beauty and little angels, if you noticed. Here are also interesting plates like these, with landscapes. Interesting. These are more modern items. Kerosene lamp. My grandmother had such a kerosene lamp. I remember they often turned off the electricity. Exactly this kind of kerosene lamp stood there, burning. A whole spread here. Well, here's all kinds of kitchen utensils, forks and spoons, lots to dig through. Here are bread molds. These bread molds. Interesting. Oh, the main treasure, there are so many books here. In Soviet times, books were considered the greatest wealth. Now I see modern editions here, but there are also Soviet ones. By the way, many people today search for old Soviet textbooks, especially for subjects like mathematics, chemistry, and physics. As it turns out, Soviet textbooks are still considered some of the best. What's this we have? The Book of Tasty and Healthy Food. Can you imagine what book I just found? Wait, let me put on my glasses. Let me take a look. This is amazing. We came across the Book of Tasty and Healthy Food. What year is this from? Oh, a preface by Lenin is here too. How fascinating. Let's see the publication year of this book. Basics of Rational Nutrition. My hands are frozen. I can't see the publication year. Interestingly, here's something called Moldavian cuisine. The Soviet Union was a multinational country, and they always published recipe collections for every republic. Each set came with recipe cards. What year is this one from? 1974. Moscow, 1974. They had these sets for all the Soviet republics. Moldavian cuisine like this one, Georgian cuisine, Kazakh cuisine, and more. See here? There's a photo on one side, and on the back, the recipe is fully described. It even says Moscow 1974. The recipes were simple and convenient. People used to collect these sets from all the republics. Here we found Moldavian cuisine, very interesting. I think I still have a few sets at home. Georgian cuisine and maybe some others. As I mentioned, here's a handicrafts book for elementary school. Look at this. What year is it from? 1984. These books are very popular now because Soviet books taught skills like embroidery. Look at this perforated card as a bookmark. It's an early example of that technique. The book has knitting, applique, and all kinds of crafts. It feels like I've stepped back into my childhood. Although by 1984 I was already more or less an adult, I remember having books like this too. Look here. Technical books and even a Russian literature textbook for 8th grade. I studied from this exact textbook. It's from 1976 and still has a stamp from the school library. Soviet textbooks like this were everywhere. Here's Lermontov, Pushkin's sketches. Who else do we have? This is a Russian literature textbook that cost just 30 kopecks back then. And here's an older textbook. What year is this one? Let me check. Chrestomaty, or reader. Oh, look. And here's Lenin talking with a petitioner. You see, Soviet textbooks always included images of kind grandfather Lenin. There should be someone else depicted here too. It's so cold. But there's so much to look at here. Well, shall we buy this book together? Oh, good.
You can look over here too. There are children's books.
I see. Yeah.
You're taking it?
Yes. It's too cold to go through everything now. I'll have to come back later when my hands are warmer.
Yes? Look at these women's novels. Some in hardcover, some in softcover. And there are detective stories too. Oh, and science fiction.
Good, thank you. Now let me show you these pots. It's amazing that they've survived all this time. These are the aluminum pots that were commonly used in Soviet public catering. In kindergartens and schools, they cooked in exactly these kinds of pots. I think these are about 20 liters. But there were even much larger ones back then. Look at these salad bowls. Here's some crystal dishware. A crystal salad bowl, for instance. This one is also crystal. Everything is so dusty and dirty, though. You can tell this is a very old storage space, a container. See here? There's a collection of dishes, crystal pieces, and tiny vodka glasses. Of course, how could we forget vodka? Russian vodka? It's essential. And look at this intriguing container. You could spend hours digging through this place. Everything's just piled up everywhere. Now, let me show you these dumbbells. In Soviet times, every household seemed to have dumbbells like these. They came in 2, 5, 10, and even 25 kilograms. I actually have a Soviet pud dumbbell at home, a big heavy one. And here, there are still cast iron skillets lying around. And look here, this is a real 5-kilogram Soviet weight. I remember these very well. It's incredible to see one again because most of them were turned in for scrap metal and melted down decades ago. It must have been 30 years since people used weights like these. There's a collection of aluminum cups here, and these enameled ones. Look at the variety. These were the most iconic cups of the Soviet Union. They were often bought for children. I had one myself, but it was terrible to drink from. If you poured hot milk with butter into it, a common cold remedy, it would burn your mouth so badly. But back then, no one cared about that. You just drank it and moved on. Oh my, now I'm all dusty and dirty. Check out this little decanter. Isn't it interesting? Back then, they made lots of dishes with famous motifs. For example, this one is from Japan. It was made in the style of the famous Madonna service sets. In the Soviet Union, owning a Madonna set with images like these was the ultimate symbol of wealth. I see the remnants of such a set here. It should be either German or Czech made, of course. It was considered very prestigious. Look at these plates. Many of them are 50 or even 60 years old. Look at this sign. They're unmistakably from that era. The industrial market in the Soviet Union was called the barakholka, or flea market. It wasn't just for new items, old and used. Things were sold here as well. Back then, there were also commission shops, but they had a completely different status. I'll tell you more about commission shops in another video. At the barakholka, people sold things they no longer wanted to wear, items that didn't fit anymore, or simply things they needed to sell for extra money. As a result, there were always many used items available. If you'd like me to explore a farmer's market, let me know in the comments. I'd love to visit one, which I suspect has remained very similar to what it was during Soviet times. Take a look at these kazans or cauldrons here. And of course the iconic samovar. How could we forget the samovar? They're still sold today. Look, here's an electric one, and next to it, a traditional Russian samovar with the chimney pipe. When I was a child, my grandmother made tea in a samovar just like this. You would put a kerza boot on top of this pipe. We'll insert a video here showing how these samovars worked. And here's a real wood-burning samovar too. And, as always, there are felt boots. You can't go without those, can you? Oh, and here's another kazan. So, that's the market. Walking through it today, I was amazed by how much it reminded me of the Soviet markets of my childhood. These modern markets may look different, but they're still selling the same types of things they sold back then. It's incredible to see how much has stayed the same. You can still find everything here, from clothing to cookware. I'm especially surprised to see underwear still being sold everywhere. That's just fascinating. This was a little time travel journey for us today. We explored the market together, and I have to say, it was just as interesting for me as it was for you. I haven't been to a market like this in ages. And guess what? I scored something special today. I bought a copy of the Book of Tasty and Healthy Food. If you've seen my video about vinaigrette, you know many of you asked me to keep filming Soviet recipes. Now, we have another cookbook in our collection to inspire even more content. If you haven't seen the vinaigrette video, check the link in the description. It'll be there for you. I'm so excited about this find and can't wait to film more Soviet recipes. Stay with us. I promise there's lots more to come. This was Julie, and you've been watching the Soviet Born channel.
До новых встреч!